So this session, the first day of this FDP, is focusing on introducing you to the concept of researching and how to do research in AI. And going forward for the subsequent days, various resource persons will take you through various tools and how to use those tools to accomplish various milestones in researching. So my session today is largely at the introduction level of how to use AI for researching. I'm not going to teach you what is AI. It's a very vast subject, and I neither am I teaching you what is research per se. I am presuming that you have some basic background of researching. Nevertheless, my conversation, my examples are all very simple and easy to understand. I don't use much of jargon because obviously, if you're looking for a jargons, you will obviously read a research book or a reference book. But if you are looking for an explanation, that is why you have come here. Right. So I request all the participants to be active. If you have any questions, if you want to share anything, please do use the chat box in Zoom. And you can ask a question at any point of time during the session. Don't wait till the end of the session or something like that, because this is a 1 hour session. So it's too short to actually, touch upon the topic. But nevertheless, we'll make the best use of our time, whatever is available to us. So my journey of researching is very old in the sense that formally I was doing this. I recently completed my PhD maybe a couple of years ago formally, but I always like this concept of researching. Researching connects with the teaching, teaching connects with academics, academics connect with curiosity. So you need not be so well qualified or skillful or something like that. But what is more important at the core is to have the zeal and enthusiasm to learn something new. So the reason why I did so many post-graduation degrees is that, I'm in a quest of knowledge. I'm now in a quest on researching. That's the reason why I'm doing my second PhD in computer science. At this point of time. So the point I want to make here is, if you have the enthusiasm, if you have the patience to learn, you will obviously be doing that. And it is very important going forward. I'll tell you why it is important. Now, these are two collection of things that I recently came across, which I feel very relevant. On the left side, you see a picture of it's basically a poster. I'm not sure how many of you are from Andhra Pradesh, but I hope you know this person called Pawan Kalyan, right? He's a movie star, Telugu, Tollywood-based movie star. There's a movie called Bro. Okay, I hardly watch movies, but it so happens that accidentally I had to watch a movie over dinner with my children. So I was very, hooked to this movie. And I read a lot, basically. I read a lot silently. Books of various types. So on the right side, you see a book called What We Owe the Future. Now, what is common in both these things, the movie and the book, is the quote that you see at the top. Now, this is a very interesting quote, and I want each of you to go through this, because the moment you read the quote, your thought process of the need to do research changes. So the quote reads something like this: "We are living in an age and era where our present and future time is not for ourselves alone, but for the future generation." So if you see, we are in a circumstance where the time that we are currently living in is not for our own benefit. We have to ensure that we are going to give a future to the future generation. This means to say that there is something alarming and something drastically, gravely wrong that is going to happen, and we have to probably prevent that kind of. So when you are doing a research, whether it is in sciences, whether it is in engineering, it is in management, law, humanities, social sciences, pure sciences, whatever it is, whatever kind of research you are doing, you have to think that there is a time clock that is counting down, and that we are living on a borrowed time. Okay. Now I connect this to something like this. We have to focus on doing research, but why should we do research? Why is research more important at this point of time? So I say that research is more important at this point of time because as we are telling you, we are on a borrowed time. We are eating up the time resources of the future generations. Okay. So whatever research areas you are in, you do the research in a very serious way. Whatever small minor update that you make, a small finding that you make, you are contributing back to the body of knowledge. So research is all about contributing back to the body of knowledge. Okay. So all these years, for the last 20, 30, 40 years I am consuming knowledge. I'm a consumer of knowledge. I'm using knowledge, right? Now, when you do research, I am contributing back to the knowledge. So this is how you contribute back to the society, right? Initially, every one of us want marks in the school and college. Later, we want some good campus recruitments to happen. Later, we want to earn money. We want to live happily. But we need to understand that this happiness, after a certain point of time, you have to question back yourself and find out, what am I accomplishing out of all these things, right? What is the contribution I am giving back to the society? So research is your tool to contribute back to the society. Whether you are a UG student, or maybe you are a 60-year-old or a 70-year-old senior citizen, it doesn't matter. Every one of us are eligible to do research, and we should do serious research. Now, what are the characteristics of academic research? If I am doing academic research, research is a very broad word. For example, I come from the finance industry. So in my office, we
Excuse
do
me,
stock
sir.
market analysis.
Sir, have you changed the screen or slide?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm on the slide on characteristics on academic research.
No, we are what we are seeing is the first page, the topic of the day.
Okay, let me stop sharing once again and share again. Okay, is it good now?
Just a
Yes,
second,
sir.
sir.
Are you seeing the slide on key characteristics of academic research?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, that is what I'm talking about. So research is a very broad word. We do research in the industry. We do research in marketing, for example. We do research in finance, for example. One of my daily activities to predict stock market prices and find out where the direction of various asset classes move. But academic research is a little different. In academic research, we focus on a systematic and methodological approach. So when I'm doing research, I need to document all the steps as to how I am researching. No matter whether I'm doing it in the right way or not, whatever activities in research I'm doing, I have to document them. And the steps should be in a scientific way. It should be in a systematic way. There should be some reason as to what I am doing and why I am doing a certain thing. Research involves critical inquiry. You need to go beyond the normal thresholds of your textbooks in order to understand the phenomenon that is happening. No matter whatever subject area you're talking about, you have to think beyond the scope or the boundaries of a book or a class or a syllabus or a degree program, right? And evidence needs is necessary. Without evidence, you cannot prove anything. So when you give a statement in your research work, you need to give evidence to show that yes, this is what is the answer, this is what is the result that is accomplished. Similarly, whatever research activity I do, I generally get it into a publishable form. For example, recently I was learning about a concept called geospatial technologies. For the last 3 to 6 months, day and night, I'm struggling and trying to learn about that particular subject. And I wrote a couple of book chapters, Scoopers Index book chapters, and they recently got published. So generally, when we do research in a proper way, in a structured way, we get it into a published form. But not everything that is written will be published. Whatever I claim as a body of knowledge, whatever I feel is a new discovery or a finding, it is to be rechecked by someone else who is a specialist in this area. Say, for example, you are a specialist in commerce, and I just have written something related to trade. Say, for example, e-commerce trade in India, for example. I mean, I'm just giving you a very vague example. Assume that I'm studying about, say, reverse logistics in e-commerce companies in India. Okay, and you're a subject expert. I've just written a research paper. Now, I give my research paper to you through a journal or through a university team or an education team, and you do a peer review on it. So peer review means my cohort, my equals or my superiors or some experts in this subject will re-evaluate what I have written and give me some suggestions and inputs so that I can improvise my research work. So research is not just about I claiming something. It is also a verification by someone else who is confirming me that yes, your research is really a correct one and a nice one. So a peer review is very important. Say, for example, if I'm writing a research journal paper, or if I'm doing my PhD research, when I write a PhD thesis document, or a project report for a UG or a PG program. So this project report, for example, will be evaluated by an expert. And he gives us suggestions and comments. And based on that, I improvise my research work. So that is what is peer review. So we are not just writing and publishing and claiming that it is true, but also we are also inviting someone else to verify whether my work is correct or not. Similarly, there is a need for transparency and reproducibility. Transparency means that all the steps that are involved in doing a research should be clearly present. So if I'm reading a research paper, for example, I went to scoopers.com. I searched for a topic, reverse logistics, for example. I got a document. I got a published research paper. I am reading the research paper. As I keep reading the research paper, it should give me sufficient information that I can replicate that research. So the research paper or the PhD thesis or the project report should be written in such a way that some other person who wishes to replicate that research should be able to do that. Okay. And eventually, after doing all these things, I am contributing back to the body of knowledge. Okay. So you basically start with a research problem. Every one of us look at, we just look at the problems in the society. The society is full of problems. Our lives are full of problems, right? Now connect it with your subject area. Whatever is my subject area where I have some basic knowledge about how to conduct research and understanding about the terminologies. And then I try to take the research process through all these steps. And eventually the last step is to contribute back to the knowledge. So when you're given a PhD, for example, that means to say that you are given a PhD for finding or discovering something. So that particular small contribution is helping the society as a whole. And this research doesn't have geographies or boundaries. So you can sit in a very remote place of some remote corner of the world. But whatever is your discovery, whatever is your finding, will be beneficial for the entire world. And you become so renowned and popular. I always give this example of Marie Curie, particularly because of her because she's a Nobel laureate. She is the first Nobel laureate. She's the first woman Nobel laureate, and she's the first person to receive a PhD, a Nobel Prize in two disciplines. Okay. So when you lose motivation in researching, just go back to people who did remarkable contributions to the science, to the society. You will understand the importance of researching. Okay. As I go through, I'm into multiple disciplines, so I try to understand much better than a normal subject specific person is, and I focus on what is common across many things that are happening. For the last few years, at least for the last 2-3 years, I was reading so many research papers, and I find two important themes which are currently impacting or currently influencing the concept of research. The first is artificial intelligence. We know what artificial intelligence is and what it can do for us. And the second is sustainability. As I told you, we are a countdown clock. We are eating resources and mining and polluting and climate change and lots of other things. So we need to look at building the what is called rebuilding the earth kind of a thing. So this is what many people see. I mean, is AI a hot topic? Everyone, even in your house also, they need not be a PhD. They say everyone is now talking about AI and sustainability. So everyone says, yes, these are important research themes. But as a researcher, you should go beyond this. AI is the current hot topic, is what everyone thinks and speaks. But as a researcher, you should go beyond what is AI, beyond the headlines. So I see this in a different way. There are, I'm just expanding the same slide, but with a different value addition. I am saying that artificial intelligence is a very old subject. It is at least in the present form that we are seeing is at least 10 years old. But as a researcher, you should be futuristic. You should not be in current present tense. You should think about what does the society need going forward 10 years from now. So that is the reason why I entered into computer science. I started with computer science. My MSc computer science is my first degree. And the reason why I entered a PhD in computer science now is to understand what is future in computer science. So if I'm in management, I would say that AI is a hot topic. It is what we have to learn. But if I'm a computer science researcher, I say that AI is already very old. Think about something called quantum computing. Think about something called neuromorphic computing. These are what are hot topics in research in computer science at this point of time. Similarly, in management, I would say sustainability is important. So we write research papers on green economy, green banking, green HR, and all those kind of things. But this concept of circular economy, net zero are very old topics, I would say, at least 10 years old. what is currently happening is about something called regenerative economy. Earlier, we are using resources and we are degenerating the concepts. Okay, from conventional degenerating thought process, companies and institutions are now forced to do what is called restorative or regenerating the economy. So instead of consuming resources, you have to contribute back to the ecosystem by the time you completed your activity. I'll give you a small example for you to understand. For example, there is a beverage company, a company which manufactures soft drinks or juices. They consume a lot of, they draw a lot of water from earth. That is the old method. They say we are into net zero, we are into circular economy, we will contribute back to the society, we will do CSR, etc. And we write, as researchers, we write so many research papers on CSR also. But what is the latest trend in research in these concepts is that we are going into what is called regenerative economy. So instead of drawing 1,000 liters of water, you should contribute back to the well from where you are drawing. You're not just consuming, but also contributing back and refilling the water that you have consumed. So whatever resources you are using, the companies are now will be forced to give back to the things in excess. That is how you regenerate everything. So you have, if you are from agriculture, for example, you do what is called regenerative agriculture. If you are in medicine, for example, if you are into medicine, drug discovery, pharmacy, and those kind of studies, you look at regenerative organs, right? Similarly, if you're in accounting, you do what is called regenerative accounting. Now, I'm not going to teach you what is regenerative accounting, but I'm sure the curiosity is in your mind right now. So I suggest that after this class is over, maybe immediately after the class, or maybe in the evening, you can do a Google search about what is regenerative accounting, or regenerative concepts that are happening in your subject area. And based on that, you'll have a better understanding. Okay, so I hope that after this entire FDP, all the people, all the friends who have joined for this program should think in a very broad way and into something which is not a traditional or not formal, but rather a little futuristic in mind. So your research topics, etc., that you take today should sustain for the next 5 to 10 years. I'm sorry to say, but many traditional PhDs that we do in our universities, you start with a lot of enthusiasm, but by the time you complete your PhD, when you present your research work and say, this is my PhD thesis, they say, we already know this. What is so special in this? Why did you take 5 years to do this? That is how, unfortunately, everyone are seeing. So as a researcher, you should pick up such research problems or such research topics that survive time. They should test, they should, like if you do a research on sustainability, obviously, everyone says, I already know sustainability. I know what is circular economy. But you have to talk or do research about something called regenerative economy. That is what I suggest, right? Now, as I told you, AI is a very old concept. The basics of AI started in around 1950s and 1960s. Okay, but unfortunately, unlike other technologies, AI didn't have a smooth, continuous future kind of a thing. So AI concepts have started in 1950s. Lots of enthusiasm, lots of developments have happened, lots of hype got built up. And then there's a small cooling period of approximately 6 to 10 years of time where no one is talking about AI. So AI saw its birth, AI saw its growth. Later, people started forgetting AI. They moved to some other new technologies that come at that point of time. But another round of renowned enthusiasm has come, new hopes have come till about 1970s or maybe 1990s. Later, another small cooling period has come. So these cooling periods in technology terms, we call it as winter. So AI as a subject area had 2 winters, which means 2 periods of about a decade where no one is talking about that concept. And of late, again, starting 2020 onwards or maybe 2010 onwards, lots of explosive growth has happened because of numerous applications that have come using AI. Now, going forward, I don't think there will be any device which is not AI driven. And going forward, every company which is in commerce and business have to use the word AI. Otherwise, people are not going to buy your product. For example, I want to buy a television. It should be AI enabled television. I want to buy a mobile phone. It should be AI enabled mobile phone. You just check up the advertisements on mobile phones. Almost every advertisement on mobile phone will talk about AI, right? Similarly, tomorrow you talk about your two-wheeler EVs and all. They will be definitely using AI, right? Almost every product that you use will be AI enabled. So this is the application phase of AI, right? If you see on the right side, that is a book I was reading around maybe 20 years ago, Dan W. Peterson. We didn't have the subject of AI in the application way. When I was studying about AI, it was more of theoretical. How should a system be? How can we imbibe intelligence to devices, right? From an application point of view, in business management as well in computer science, we have something called expert systems, which come under information systems. So how can we use AI with information systems? That was the agenda. But coming back to our topic today, our topic being connecting to research, we need to see how AI helps in research. I would say there are 10 major areas where AI helps us. And I'm using this concept as of now in my own research work. The traditional way of doing a research work, doing it in step by step, etc., takes a lot of time. But and if you take industry level of research, you need to have a huge team of resources. Also, you need to have lots of people working with you alongside. But when it comes to research, most research that we do is at an individual level. For example, you are a research scholar. Your research, your problem, you solve the problem. Your research supervisor or the guide can help you to some extent, but he cannot take up the whole responsibility. In a similar way, when we work in a collaborative manner, for example, I and you together will write a research paper. Assume that we sat down, discussed, we have meeting of minds, we have lots of common things. So we thought we will write a research paper. When we write a research paper, a part of the research is done by one person and the other part is done by the other person. Each of them set boundaries. But this is not how research works. You need to have a friend who is always with you, no matter at what time you ask. I sometimes don't get sleep. I sleep at around 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock and I get up at 4 o'clock. And in between, sometimes I don't get sleep and I want to do research and I don't have anyone with me to do research. So I'll start asking questions to an AI system, right? We have lots of LLMs, large language modules. And a part of these large language models are generative AI tools that you generally use. Most of the AI that we see in research are presumed to be actually research tools, are actually generative AI tools. But generative AI tools are not actually research tools. They are just generating content for us to get the output that we can see. So you need to understand what is an LLM, what is generative AI, and how can I use both of them so as to accelerate my research process. For example, I don't know how to do analysis of data, but I want to know. For example, I have an Excel file. Okay, my research supervisor gave me an Excel file. He said, study this data and do some analysis on that. But I don't know what the data is, or I don't know how to do analysis. So earlier, if about a decade ago, if you say I don't know analysis, your research supervisor will say, first go back to learning those SPSS and those Excel file and those correlation and regression, then come to research. That is how they used to say. But now you need not have to do that. You need not have to learn many things. You can ask an AI system, and the AI system can help you, will give you information sufficient enough to have an understanding about how to deal with the data. So, for example, say I'm an UG student. I'm a UG student. Okay, I'm in my first year of say BSc. I don't know what is correlation. My madam said I have to do correlation analysis. I have an Excel file on which I have to do the analysis. So instead of learning how to do correlation, etc., while that is very good, learning is always good. But the problem is lack of time. You might not have sufficient time to do many things, right? So you can ask an AI system. You can give your Excel file to an AI system, including ChatGPT and such kind of generative AIs, and ask it what kind of analysis I can do, how to do regression analysis, how to do correlation analysis, how to interpret the data. So if you ask those questions, it will automatically give you the answers on the data that you are given with, right? So learning time would drastically reduce when you are using an AI time, when you use AI. Because I specifically say that even when I'm entering into my PhD was almost 15 years away from my MPhil. MPhil is my previous research degree. So after MPhil, I was doing several other post-graduation degrees, and after almost 15 years, I entered a PhD program. So it's like outdated knowledge with which I have joined. But if you have AI with you, you can build that edge of losing time. AI can help you identify patterns. Anything that is repeatedly happening can be easily identified. Dr. Nirupa ma'am, you can post the question in the chat box. I will answer it. Right? We might not pause here during a conversation, but I will read the questions that you post in the chat box first. Okay. So AI systems can identify patterns. I'll tell you how it helps me in particular. I write a lot. Okay, I'm a journalist. I write for newspapers and magazines. I write research papers as well. I write books as well. I'm editing books as well. So I work with lots of words every day. And I make some common mistakes. There are some repeat mistakes that I do. And I know what mistakes I do. But if I have an AI system which is a helper for me, which is a buddy for me, which is a help to me, it can identify and tell me to fix the problem. I'll tell you, despite having so much of knowledge and experience, when I'm writing a sentence, for example, when I'm composing something, I often write in passive voice. My biggest problem is that writing in active voice is a problem for me. And in research, we write every statement in active voice. So my AI system can identify that every time I'm repeatedly using passive voice. So it will probably identify and show me an alternative to that passive voice statement so that I can click on it and the statement gets rephrased. You use tools like Grammarly, for example. Grammarly uses AI nowadays, right? So this is pattern recognition. And it automates repeated tasks. So the AI system understood that when I'm writing a research paper, I am writing passive voice many number of times, and I am correcting all those statements again. So after I write 2-3 research papers, it will automatically understand that my biggest problem is about active voice and passive voice. It will automate the repetitive task. So when I switch on my computer, certain apps and certain tools or software will automatically open with some default settings because it knows what I do at what point of time. You need to build your computer system, your resources, your mobile phones, your resources, your servers, I would say, in such a way that whatever is to be repeated should automatically be done. We are not here to repeat. We are in the phase of automation. But I'm not talking about automation in an industry like robotics. I'm talking about automation of certain repeat things that you do in research. And in research, we do modeling. I'm sure many of you from humanities will agree with me because most of us create expressions and equations, which are basically prediction models. So if you're good enough, you can build your own prediction model, or you can take the help of AI system to build the AI prediction system, as well as to enhance it, right? And AI can help you in experimentation. For example, I'm currently working on something called modified atmospheric packaging. It's about using gas mixtures to find the most suitable environment to preserve food. Ideally, our food gets spoiled, right? If you take strawberry, for example, you buy strawberries today, maybe by tomorrow they get spoiled. How can we make strawberries last for maybe 20 days or 25 days? Can we make strawberries without losing its aroma, taste, flavor, color, etc. for have an extended shelf life of 25 years? So the answer for that is modified atmospheric packaging, which I'm currently researching with another subject expert. And we want to make some combinations. For example, how about 80% oxygen, 20% carbon dioxide? How about 75% oxygen and 25% carbon dioxide? So I want to visualize, I want to find out if I change the composition of gas mixtures, what will be the outcome of my experiment without really doing the experiment. So AI, with its understanding about all these things, will be able to do all these kind of things, right? Then few more areas where AI can help us. I strongly believe in interdisciplinary integration. Interdisciplinary research means that you should always connect with multiple subject experts across different streams, right? No research is so hardcore to a subject area. For example, my PhD degree is on financial management, okay? But my PhD thesis also includes a certain words from marketing. So people would argue your research thesis title itself has something called market competition. Market competition is a subject area of marketing. But my core area where this market competition is studied is mutual funds, which is finance management, right? So there was an argument at one point of time that yes, it comes under marketing domain, while some other people use it to say it comes under finance domain, right? So I would say that every research that we do today is interdisciplinary. I'm sure, I know many of you or some of you would not agree to this statement, but the sooner you realize or rather embrace this thing that yes, I'm doing a multidisciplinary research, the way you do research changes, the way you bring out results from your research experiments will differ. Okay, so just look at your research paper titles. I'm sure they are not your core subject area alone. It automatically connects with something else. For example, this modified atmospheric packaging I'm talking about, the idea is that we don't want to waste food. We want to increase the shelf life of food. And we presented this research in a circular economy conference, in a conference on circular economy, which itself is a multidisciplinary area. I add my management and computer science understanding to the field, while my co-author is from food science. He's from the industry, so he brings in real practical industrial inputs to it. So this is how you do good research. So if you are having a good co-author, co-researcher, or if you have a good research supervisor, I would say you are the best. You are very lucky. Finding such like-mindedness to do interdisciplinary research is very rare, very difficult to accomplish. But once you accomplish that, that bonding should be so strong that you will do lots of extraordinary research if you can do. So think interdisciplinary. And in some cases, we want real data. We don't want to collect data maybe 1 year ago or 2 years ago. Customer preferences are changing every few minutes. Consumer brands are changing every few minutes. Loyalty is very rare these days. Patience is very rare these days. Is it not? So we want latest data. We want live data. So forget about collecting, giving a survey form, filling the form, computerizing the form, and then doing analysis. We want to study the social media posts done by people, like for example, the students of our college, and we want to have some dashboard kind of an interface where we know whether the students are liking this class or not. So instant real-time insights are necessary to do good research. And we do what is called mixed mode research. We combine a qualitative analysis and a quantitative analysis, combine different forms or methods or methodologies. So new kinds of research is using very customized kind of approaches, right? And you want to better utilize your time. Yesterday I was talking to my son. My son is studying his 10th standard. He's going for board exams. So I was telling him that, earlier days we used to go to the computer lab. We have to go to the computer lab in order to do programming, basic programming. But now your mobile phone itself is more powerful than the computers I've ever used, right? So we want to better use the time, which is the most precious of all resources. And of course, human resources and other kind of resources as well. So AI helps you in optimizing resources. It tells you what experiment to conduct at what point of time. It helps you to prepare a schedule of what is to be done at what point of time. And it facilitates in the discovery process. So here AI is not just a writing tool. Many people think about using AI as a writing tool, but you have to think beyond that. While I do agree, yes, I do use generative AI as a writing tool, as a helper for me. But if I want to use AI in research, I have to think and go beyond that. Okay, so AI can help you in generating ideas. Maybe at some points of time, you may be out of ideas. You don't know. Whatever you're thinking is already being researched by someone else. So you can ask an AI system and it will help you to refine your research problems. It will help you to build your hypothesis statements, your research questions, and things like that. You may not know what variables to use. You don't know what parameters, models, or theories to use. If you want to learn about theories now, it takes a lot of time. For example, I want to study about consumer theories. But my audience are Gen Z. I want to study the consumer preferences of mobile phones, for example. That is my research area. My theories are ancient theories, but I should, as a part of research, I should use them. So using an AI system, I can find out how many theories are there, what theories are applicable to my subject area, right? Ma'am was asking about ethical use. All these are ethical use. Whatever I'm telling are ethical use of AI systems. I will tell you what is not ethical as well in my presentation as we proceed. What should we do? What should we not do using AI tools? We should definitely keep that in mind, right? That is very important. Thanks for reminding that, ma'am. And reading requires a lot of patience, right? You need to read a research paper of around maybe 10, 20 pages, and you hardly have a day. and you have to go to office to work. You are a part-time scholar probably, and your research supervisor is telling you have to read one research paper per day. How can I read one research per day, going to office, handling all those things, working at home chores, and still do research work, right? So this is where AI systems can help. They summarize a research paper, right? You copy paste a large quantum of data. You ask for a summary, it will give you a summary. You ask questions to it, it will give you answers on the research paper. And AI tools are well known to be writing buddies, but don't make them your co-authors. I hope you understand this statement. AI tools are writing buddies. They help you in writing better, but they are not your co-authors, which means you should not copy paste the entire text given by a generative AI, paste it and say that this is my research work. And this is what is unethical, as ma'am was pointing out, right? When you copy paste an information generated by an AI tool, who is doing the research? Who is generating the answer? Who is finding out the sources of or references to each of them? It is not you as a researcher, but you are just copy pasting the work of, say, a generative AI tool and claiming that work is as your research. That is unethical. That is not accepted. No generative AI tool can be your co-author. It can be your help. It can be your helper. It can dig a lot of data. It can be your assistant. It can be your writing buddy. It can correct your English. It can fix your mistakes. It will do mathematical calculations for you, but it cannot be your co-author. Just remember your research supervisor and his research supervisor, for example. You just go back 20, 30 years ago. 20, 30 years ago, if you want to do research, we have to do it on calculators. If you want to write something, you have to write it on a typewriter. Is it not? Now, where is the calculator? I hardly see. In fact, most mobile phones don't have a calculator these days, right? And calculator is inbuilt in your computer. When you want to write something, you open Excel. We are having lots of things much far powerful than calculators, right? So, did your supervisor or his supervisor claim that computer is a co-author because computer is helping them in the mathematics and calculations and statistical activity? No. In a similar way, AI will be your buddy, but they will not be your co-author. Okay. So maybe a couple of decades ago, computer is a milestone. Now AI is a kind of milestone. But as I'm telling you, 10 years from now, when each of you will give this kind of lectures to your own audience, you will not talk about AI. You will talk about, as I was telling you, something like called quantum computing or a regenerative economy. I hope you understand what I'm talking about, right? So think futuristic. Now, how can AI help me in research process? The first and biggest, most common problem is to identify problems in the right way. When we think about research topics, when we really want to write, we don't get any topic. But when we casually browse through or scan through, we get lots of topics. The problem is that you need to polish the problem and project it in such a way that it is indeed a problem and it is worth solving. So research is about dealing with problems that are worth solving. There could be so many problems in the society or in the system, but it is not necessary that every problem needs to be solved. Or rather, I would say we need to give priority to the problems that we need to solve. So AI can help you in identifying the right research topic, and you need to be generally a specialist in whatever research you are doing. And to get expertise in a subject area, you need to, my projection is that you need to spend at least 3 to 6 years of time. So if you spend 3 to 6 years of time on some subject, you can probably become an expert in that subject. That is age-old way of thought process. But the latest thought process is spend 3 to 6 months on some topic, you will become an expert on that topic. You take me as an example. 6 months ago, for example, I don't know what is geospatial technologies. I'm not from engineering in the sense that I'm not from communication engineering. I'm interested in communication engineering, but I couldn't get a chance to work on radar or LADAR or things like that. But in the last 6 months, I was working day in and day out. I was able to identify what research is done on generative AI. I am able to understand what research is done on, what are the research trends that are happening in geospatial technologies. So I combined AI with geospatial technologies. We call it as geospatial AI. This is future. So going forward, 5 years from now and 10 years from now, we'll talk about geospatial AI. While if you are a professor in communication engineering, maybe 20 years ago, and you are not up to date, you are likely to talk about geospatial technologies like satellites, etc. Satellites are very old things. the latest things are using generative AI, or I mean, not generative AI, I would say AI in general, but in geospatial applications. Okay. And the good thing is that you can use natural language processing. So these AI tools, one branch of it is called NLP. This concept of AI has lots of jargon. I don't want to go into that, but NLP, as the name suggests, natural language processing. You dictate, it will try to understand what you are dictating, your tone, your language, etc., and give that into words. So I don't have to write a research paper. I will dictate a research paper. Right? Earlier, you have to buy a software for that. Now even your mobile phone is able to do that. Is it not? So many of you who have already done your PhD, you will now, you always used to have that thought feeling, right? That there should be someone who is quickly typing as my thoughts keep coming. Yes, you have the answer now. You have these AI tools now. You know that these tools are available, but despite that, you are not doing that. You are not using that in the proper way. So you should learn. You should put some efforts to learn all these tools and technologies. And that is what is this FDP trying to accomplish. So attend all the classes of this FDP. We have lots of experts coming in for the next few days also. And you will definitely grab a lot of things. AI systems are able to predict also. When you are trying to make a mistake, they help you. They stop you. They tell you this is the problem. This is where you have to fix. Whether it is a spelling mistake or a variable that is not properly used, or maybe a statistical technique that is not properly used. This prediction process comes from what is called machine learning. Machines are learning looking at your patterns by observing how you are conducting research, and then they try to solve that. AI is used in literature review. This is one of the biggest area where research AI most of the FDPs talk about. In fact, I believe tomorrow's session is on this particular topic of what AI tools are available to do a literature review. Most research scholars spend 1 to 2 years time trying to do literature review. And let me tell you, in most cases, by the time they complete their PhD, still they don't know what is a research gap in their own research. This is because we need to read a lot in order to write a lot. We want research papers. We want to write research papers. Is it not? Don't you have that as a target? Every one of us have that as a target, right? But to do a good research, we should study what is already done. And to do that, we need to do literature review. So you have several systematic review tools to identify and synthesize relevant literature. They will help you identify key concepts and themes. In fact, whenever I'm learning something new, the first research paper I write about is about the themes or the existing studies in that particular subject area. If you are struggling to figure out what should be your first research paper, this is a hint for you. If you want to write your first research paper, it should be on a research theme or on a literature review related to that particular topic. These are the easiest to get published and also easy to conduct also in terms of research efforts. So if you use an ML system, for example, it helps you to classify and cluster literature. For example, in my computer, I have, say, for example, in a folder, I have 40 research papers. I will share all my 40 research papers to an LLM and ask the LLM to summarize each of the papers. And I want it in a tabular format. And how does the table look like? I'm specifying, I'm telling that the first column should be name of the author, second column should be the year, third column should be description. I'm telling the system as to how the output should come also. And the system takes only maybe 5 seconds to 10 seconds. It reads all the 40 papers, summarizes them, and gives me the output. The same thing, if you want to accomplish it, will take a year. So if you are in the second year of your PhD and still struggling to do your literature review, you're grossly wasting your time. Or I would rather say that you're not using AI tools in the right way in order to accomplish that. So research, as you can see, literature review process, the time taken to do or perform a literature review gets shortened if you use AI. I'm not just telling about literature review alone, but all the phases from ideation to publication, everything can be, reduced. The time can be reduced. Early days, we need to use so many tools, aggregation tools, to collect data, to crawl from one website to another website and capture data to do content analysis. Now you have lots of databases and software available. For example, Kaggle is one popular database. It gives you public access. Wherever data is available in public domain, you can access that. For example, I want to do some analysis between, say, Indonesian rupee and Indian rupee, right? So the inputs to this could be the currency values, maybe the GDP of the economies, of the respective economies. All these kind of data is readily available. We call it as data sets, publicly available data sets. you can download them and you can start doing your research. Few months ago in one of our conference, we conduct a PBMEI conducts conferences also. So one of our scholar was doing a research on AI on MRI data, basically Alzheimer's disease. I am not a medical science student. I don't know anything about Alzheimer's. But for the last 6 months, together we are trying to understand what they are, trying to understand how can we build an AI tool to read MRI images, etc. But how can we get access to data? If I want to get MRI data, I have to go to a diagnostic center or a hospital where I have to ethically ask and then get permissions and then take the data. But no patient or a hospital will share this data. Is it not? So these kind of data are available on Kaggle. So go to kaggle.com. You'll get data sets on almost any topic. Whether if you want to have music streams, if you want to have ancient literature, if you want to have pictures or paintings or colors, if you want to get the details of stones or water of various countries or rivers, all such kind of data is already available in Kaggle. So go there, take the data set, do the analysis, and once you are okay with that, you then take the real data, live data from the real patients, and then you cross check once again. So as far as conducting research or trial data or sample data that you want, these data sets are readily available to you. Similarly, data analysis. I did these many post-graduation degrees. Every post-graduation degree has a research methodology subject. Every post-graduation degree also has a statistical subject, and statistics is Greek and Latin to me. I'm so scared about statistics. Every time I try to look at somehow pass the exam and move on, but by the time I enter into a different course, it comes on. So the point I want to make here is don't run away from your problems. Solve your problems. It will never be a problem going forward, right? So fine, that is okay. But the problem in research is that you need to purchase those software, eViews, SPSS. These are all large corporate commercial software. Most universities can't afford or would not provide you those tools. Or even if they provide, you have to go to the lab, to the university lab in order to do that research on that particular statistical tool. But now, after the internet interfaces have come, the web-based interfaces have come, on the AI-based interfaces have come, you have tools like Julius.ai. You have tools like Hugging Face, for example. You give an Excel file, it will only tell you what analysis that can best be done. It will give you suggestions also to increase your sample size or to reduce the sample size or to remove certain records in order to get a better result. So all these kind of predictive modeling, identifying patterns of data, doing sentiment analysis also on textual data can be done automatically using that. So data analysis process also becomes much faster. It will be the cycle time reduces here, right? This is a small example of Julius.ai. So if you go to this Julius.ai, it's a web-based interface. So you can create a workflow for you. You can share some files, your Excel files or documents, or you can connect to some Google Docs or some kind of ready-made publishing platform. And then if you say, for example, you want to generate some visualizations. Visualizations are graphs, charts, etc. So it will help you. It will tell you that these are the best possible visualizations. It will tell you these are the records where data is not good. So you need to clean your data before you start processing it. It will tell you, it will do a statistical significance test like t-test, chi-square, etc. I mean, I'm just giving some names, but any crazy, rarely used statistical process also can be done using AI. And you don't have to learn all those things. Yes, I'm not saying don't learn. I'm saying that if you have time, definitely learn. But more than learning, because we are in the run or rather countdown for results are also more important than the formulas that led to the results. Of course, as a researcher, you should definitely know. In research, you should understand that getting the result is not the only criteria, but how did you conduct the experiment in order to get the result is also important. That is what is a peer reviewer is doing. So when I'm doing a peer review, my job is to reconduct your experiment and yet get the same result that you are claiming that you are getting, right? That is one of the important criteria. So when you write a research paper, don't write creative results. Write only those results which you have really got. Whether it is correct or wrong is a different story. Whatever statistical analysis that you have done, based on that analysis, whatever result has come, you give that thing. Whether it is correct or wrong, let the society judge that. But according to your data, that is what you have obtained. Recheck once or twice before so that you can confirm that yes, your analysis is really correct. and you can use Julius.ai for the purpose. There are many such software. I'm just giving you names. I hate to give names, but generally speaking, if you want something, if you can put some efforts to find who or what or which website is going to come do that, you just go there and get it done. That is what is more important, right? And as I told you, AI is a good academic assistants. They help you to write and edit research papers. You want to prepare a presentation, whether it is your PhD presentation or a conference paper presentation, you can use AI for that. But standard disclosure, I did not use AI for this presentation. Okay, all these slides, they are all hardcore handwritten kind of things, except for the first and last slide. I'll tell you that at a later point of time. But the point I want to make is data can be visualized into charts. AI can help you, or it can be presented into a PowerPoint presentation. Again, AI can do that. You give a research paper, it prepares a presentation for you and give it to you. You say it is a case study presentation, it converts that into a case study presentation and gives it to you, right? It also helps you in social media management. In fact, I am able to connect to you to this conference through Janani ma'am. Thanks to her for connecting with me, with each of you. And she got connected to me through social media. And there is AI that is working behind both our computers in order to do this matching so that I can come to this FDP. So I always post my good things and bad things also in the social media. Anything related to research in particular, I share that in the social media, so that if I'm wrong, there will be definitely some people who can correct me. So I generally put all those things in my blog called vijaykitu.com. So if you go to vijaykitu.com, you'll see what are my current research works I'm doing. I update it on almost every day. There is some or the other research update I want to share every day. And all my publications are also put in, so that if you're interested to go through any of my current research work or the past research work, you can get to know. Some of my publications are already into 2025 year. They are copyrighted 2025. And I do a lot of peer reviews of verification, whether for conferences, for books, and for journal papers. So this is this is a unpaid activity. Yet I do this because for the sake of research. So if I'm doing a peer review, if I feel that I can help you make your research paper better by giving suggestions, I don't hesitate to waste my time on that. I will definitely waste my time. I will help you to do a good research, because your research is going to change the world. And I believe in that more than you believe in yourself. The only problem is you have to understand and you have to recognize and realize that, yes, I can do a good research. My research is going to change the world. I am making my first step today in order to accomplish that. Every late night loss of sleep, anxiety, tensions that you get, they're all helping you to become a better person. All these pains and suffering are inevitable. You can't do that without a headache. You can't do your PhD, right? So these are inevitable, but you have to overcome. You should be resilient. You should be strong in doing the research in the proper way. So this ChatGPT, right? But I'm not just talking about ChatGPT. I'm talking about have you ever wondered how does a paid version of ChatGPT look like? If not, you should do that. I would strongly suggest that if you have any friend who has that, you should do that. So I'm just sharing a screen. There are lots of differences in terms of speed and the quality of output between a paid version and unpaid version. This is a paid version of ChatGPT. And everyone uses a normal version of ChatGPT. We call it as 4.0, right? But in a paid version, or in some of the versions of even the free versions also, in some of the versions, you will have something called Canvas. I'm not giving you a tutorial on ChatGPT now. I'm telling you that if you open ChatGPT, if you scroll and if you can find Canvas, start using Canvas. If you don't have ChatGPT and you want to visualize how it is, go to YouTube after this class, search for ChatGPT Canvas and see how ChatGPT Canvas can help you speed up your research, right? So you have to start not just using the tools, but using the tools beyond their normal applications, because you are researchers. You are not just mere users, right? So there is Google Gemini also. I use lots of AI tools, lots of generative AI tools also. It's not just for testing alone, but lots of rigorous use is what I do, right? So if you are tired of using OpenAI, start using Gemini.google.com, right? And I will pause here, but before I pause, I'll give you a couple of inputs. Maybe I'll wind up in 5 more minutes. There is another tool called po.com, where you can ask a question to different LLMs. For example, apart from ChatGPT and Google Gemini, you also have Claude. In fact, Claude is my favorite compared to OpenAI and Google Gemini. So if you have not heard of Claude, or there are hundreds such other generative AI tools. And because you cannot go to so many websites in order to do that, one good place to stop by is po.com. So go to po.com. You can ask a question to any of the LLM model and get a different output, right? I'm stressing on this statement. You get a different output with different LLMs for the same question you're asking, right? That is what is called consensus. Why should I use so many AI tools? Why can't I just buy OpenAI and use it alone? Because each AI tool gives you a different output, different in terms of size, depth, etc. Right? So what I do is, if I'm learning something new, for example, at this point of time, I'm learning about modified atmospheric packaging. Okay, so I'll ask what is modified atmospheric packaging to multiple AI tools. Each of them gives a different answer. I will read all of them in total, try to understand and judge and find out what is common across all of them, and then start thinking and then do literature review and then start writing. Most people think that I will use this ChatGPT and start writing research papers. No, I would say that use ChatGPT to read, to understand, to learn, and then you can probably think about writing. Okay, so without you reading, don't even think about writing. You have to read a lot. When I say read a lot, I'm talking about research papers and research publications in order to write research publications. You cannot write without reading. AI can help you simplify and smooth in that. I'm currently editing few books on Scoopus. I'm an editor of few books. So I want to check every statement given by my authors. So I asked Google Gemini, who has developed this concept called a full consistency method. Google Gemini said this person, Buikojan, has created that full consistency model. I asked Claude the same question, but Claude said, Omkar 2018, he has introduced this. So if you ask a common question like what is height of Mount Everest, every AI system will say what is height of Mount Everest. But if you're asking very specific, which you hardly or rarely get to know, which is not a common knowledge, each of the AI tools give you different answers, right? So my point is that don't believe in AI tools blindly. You are a researcher. You are not a consumer of AI tools. You are a researcher. So your job is to verify every statement before you take it for granted, including simple statements like who developed something, right? As I'm telling you, if it is common knowledge, every AI system will tell the same answer. What is the height of Mount Everest? Who is the first person to climb Mount Everest, etc. Every system will tell that. But who developed a full consistency method? Not many people or not many papers are there on this concept of full consistency method. It's a statistical method in decision making. So test beyond the normal limits of all these AI systems before you start. Don't believe them blindly. I asked her a question. Is weighted sum model and simple additive weighting model the same? Are these two models, WSM, SAW, are they same or are they different? I don't know. I want to ask. So Claude said, Claude is a LLM. Claude is a generative AI tool similar to ChatGPT. Okay. Claude said, yes, both of them are same. Liam is Facebook's Meta's AI tool. Liam said, no, they are different. I asked Wikipedia. Wikipedia said it is also called, it is a synonym. They are both the same, is what Wikipedia says. But can we trust Wikipedia? We cannot trust Wikipedia in research because anyone can modify and put any content on Wikipedia. So that is the reason why in research we generally don't take it for granted on Wikipedia. So for the sake of knowledge, yes, you can refer to all these sources. But if you are doing hardcore research and your research stands on this, you want to use this as evidence to your research, they may not stand. So use AI tools cautiously and carefully before you take it for granted. As I told you, improving readability of research papers is very important. We are very poor writers and speakers of English. Because I review papers from across the world, I can understand when a research paper comes to me, I can understand if it's from UK, is he from US, is he from South America, is he from Africa, is he from China, is he from India, is he from Australia? All of them speak English. All the research papers are English. But because of my experience of reading so many papers from different continents, by spending just the 5 minutes of time, say just by reading the abstract, I can get to know whether the person really did this research or did he use the ChatGPT to copy paste and then claim that as a thing. Because the vocabulary that these tools use is little different, right? And I can correct my English. I'm improving my own English because of ChatGPT. My readability improves. My English is better. When my English is better, I get more citations because more people will be able to read my research. If they're impressed with my research, they will cite my research in their work. So AI can help you beyond publication also, because in the publication process, it is helping correcting not just facts, but also grammatical issues also, and making me a better writer, because research involves writing. If you don't write your thesis, you cannot write it at all. So you should start writing right from now rather than postponing it for next year or subsequent years. Similarly, if you want to write a research paper, a dream come true kind of a research paper, start writing it today, from today. Write your first statement today. Tomorrow you add another statement. The day after you add another statement. Writing one statement per day, if you have patience, you can definitely write a research paper in 1 year. But if you think that I will learn everything first and next year I will write, then next year will not. Future tense is difficult, right? We don't know whether how it will be, right? So many of us say that we want to write research papers, but we are not writing even a single statement, nor we are reading. If you're not reading, if you're not writing, how can we write research papers? So that is where AI helps. So use AI properly and rightfully. And before you copy paste any, I never say that you should copy paste any information given from an AI system into your published documents. But whether it is your thesis or a project report or even a synopsis or even a proposal. So write all these things on your own, based on your own understanding and thought process. But use AI tools for learning. Most people don't even check what they're copy pasting. This is a small example. In one of the research papers I was going, he just copy pasted an output of an AI system. In that AI system output, there is a statement called for your study. He didn't bother to even fix these kind of grammar mistakes. He just pasted and has sent it for publication, right? Look at this. This is a research paper related to finance. Decision making. But the words he uses, the word story, society, complex dance of variables. Society that is awash in data, right? Complex dance of variables. This is the kind of English in a research paper. And they expect that these kind of research papers to be Scopus indexed. I was very furious actually, because most people, they write something. Okay. According to them, it's a great research. But in the light of a Scopus journal or a Web of Science journal, they don't bother to go beyond the title also. In some cases, we don't even go beyond the title also. We are disheartened reading at the title also, right? This is because you use tools or people in a very unethical way, and you expect everything to be Scopus kind of grade. So introspect yourself. Are you really doing a world-class research? Does your research paper justify to be such an extraordinary, dimension-changing kind of a research that it should be indexed in Scopus? If not, keep writing. Improvise your research paper. Make submissions. Get rejections. But continue to improvise and submit a better manuscript again. So this is how you improve. Because when it comes to research, your background doesn't help. Your background is not important. When you submit a journal paper, you may be submitting your first journal paper. I may be submitting my 100th journal paper. But in the eyes of a peer reviewer, both papers are same. They treat and handle both research papers the same. So the peer review process is the same. The evaluation is the same. I may be a dean, I may be a vice chancellor of a university, but if I send a research paper to Scopus, they say as if I'm a research scholar, maybe a first year a UG student or a first year researcher, right? So don't ever copy paste any output from an AI tool and claim it to be your research work. Because when you submit your research paper, your report or your document, it means to say that you are claiming that entire content of the document is written by you. Later it becomes a problem, right? So with this note, I thank you for your patient listening. I know I have overstepped your time by at least 10 minutes, but hopefully I made some sense. So this picture that you see is an AI generated picture, right? And the picture that you see on the first page also is an AI generated picture. So these are the only two slides where I used AI. It's a standard disclosure. So this is what is ethics. So when you write a research paper, when you are learning some concepts, like for example, you learn some theories about a research paper using AI tool, you have to disclose that you have used those tools for that purpose, right? So with this note, I pause here. So if you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Vijay, that was a very enlightening address, and we really thank you from our core of our heart for taking so many topics and enlightening us within such a short span of time. So there are many questions bringing up, so I'll just open the floor for a Q&A session. Can we take quickly some 1 or 2 questions from the audience?
Sure.
Hello, sir. Am I audible to you all?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Sir, first and foremost, your presentation was just wonderful. I was just looking forward and just printing all the PPT slides which you have posted on. It was really wonderful presentation which I come across. So one thing while I was going through, and I would like to understand that though we use our ChatGPT for various purposes, but for the analysis, how we validate the credibility of the results which are being generated by these tools.
See, when it comes to results are based out of statistical interpretations. And
Yes.
we believe the software and the computers that we use are decent enough to evaluate and do the processing.
Okay.
So we never judge a computer if it is doing the correct statistical analysis or not, or whether the result is really the output of that particular statistical analysis. That is taken for granted. So I don't ever doubt an AI system or a computer system for that matter. When it comes to, say, for example, an Excel-based system or a web-based interface, almost everything, every one of us, every one of these systems give the same result. So I don't doubt about the result, but is it the right statistical tool or not is a question. So that is where I have to introspect. So what is going to happen is, yes, this is a known problem in AI. So we, by default, all AI systems are going to do good mathematics and statistics. But is it the right tool to do it or not? Is a question of ethics or things like that. So for that purpose, we have something called explainable AI. Going forward, maybe 1 year, 2 year, 5 years down the lane, you will be able to ask ChatGPT to give its evidence as to how it gave you the answer. For now, we are focusing on the result and output alone. That is the reason why it is called generative AI, because we are focusing on the generated text. But going forward, all these AI tools will have something called explainable AI. I mean, it's a module, it's an add-on to AI tools. So with explainable AI, AI is also telling you its sources and how it got the result also. So that is still work in progress. At least to the end user, it is not there. But those who build a custom LLM, some universities, they develop their own custom LLMs. So those of them who are developing them, they can implement this explainable AI and get to know the sources from or how the calculations have come, or the results have come. I hope I answered your question now.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
So there is one question posed by Ms. Indra. What are the best practices for integrating AI tool into initial stages of literature review?
Integrating literature review. The first step is, of course, to narrow down the theme. So when I'm learning something new, this is the exact example I was giving, right? So I want to learn about geospatial technologies, or I want to learn about resilience, for example, in psychology. So when I want to learn a new subject, I need to do a literature review in order to understand what is the scope of the subject, what are the theories involved in that subject, etc. So for that purpose, AI can help me to identify some themes. Like for example, I want 10 themes about my subject area. So AI can help you to identify 10 themes related to that subject area, or maybe 10 theories which are connected to that. Because in research, every research problem should have a theoretical underpinning, we call it. So AI can help you out in that. So instead of wasting time going to the library, searching for so many papers, etc., you can use an AI system to get the names. But mere getting names does not solve your problem. You need to go deeper into each of the theories and then get to know whether it really applies to your subject area, to your problem or not. So because AI systems are subject neutral, they don't bias between, say, management and computer science and psychology. For an AI system, all of them are the same. But you are doing research from a perspective of, say, psychology or some commerce or something like that. So you need to tune the system in order to get the desired output, right? So my suggestion as far as literature review and research paper writing related to literature review is that you should know something called prompt writing in AI. Prompt writing is a method by which you can You can give you can explain the system your requirements, and the system will give an appropriate answer to you. So once you master this concept of prompt writing, whether it is about data analysis or data collection or literature review, you can automate certain things. That is how you can ease your communication channel with an AI system. Right? I hope I answered that question.
Also, one more question is there from Ms. Asha. How to balance the use of AI tools with the manual analysis in order to maintain the research rigor?
It depends on how much time you have, right? If you are, if you're chasing targets, deadlines, etc., then you might have to use it 100% of AI, and wherever you feel wherever the results are right, whether the output is correct to your satisfactory extent, you can probably go ahead, which I don't really suggest. If you really have time of, say, for the luxury of, say, 3 years and 4 years and 5 years of doing a PhD research work, then every statement that an AI tool gives you, you read and cross check once again and then put it into your paper. So I would use AI tool to question to put so many questions. I can't bug my research supervisor asking so many questions, right? I can't go beyond maybe 2-3 questions, and we have our human limitations also. So I can definitely use an AI system to ask n number of questions. I don't know, like when I start my own, I get up in the morning, I definitely have 2-3 LLMs open for me. Maybe some of them have completed output of the previous night questions I have given. Some of them are ready to take my fresh inputs or fresh questions, etc. So rigorously use them. You don't have any limitations in regard to use of AI tools. So use as many tools as possible, and more importantly, try to understand the commonalities, the theories, the core of the research problems. So once your core of the research problems is clear, it becomes very easy to solve the problem. But if you yourself don't understand the problem and you are trying to give a fix or a result to a problem which you don't understand, you end up somewhere else and doing something else, right? So this is how we get distracted in not reaching the target, right? We want to go to the moon, but we didn't shoot the rocket towards the moon. Rather, we shot somewhere else, and we don't have a target as such to reach the moon. So it will take n number of years for the rocket to reach, right? So be very focused, and the more you dig, the more and better you understand about the limitations and the beauty of these AI tools. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you so much, sir, for addressing all the queries. Yeah. Your guidance has truly enhanced our understanding of the topic researching with AI today. The session really helped us in understanding how curiosity can lead into research, and we were able to understand how AI makes research better. Especially thanking you for taking us through the do's and don'ts while using AI. The best liners were, don't run away from the problem, solve it out. I really believe that from now on, all the participants will resume their research work with the realization that their research is definitely going to change the world. As we come to the end of the first day of FDP, I express my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you. First and foremost, a big thanks to Dr. Vijaya for sharing your knowledge and inspiring us to think differently on the topic integration of AI into research. Your insights have really left an indelible mark on all of us. I extend my gratitude to Head of the Department, Dr. Annie Stephen, for leading and guiding the team. I really thank the organizing team members behind this FTP for bringing in the best resource persons and enlightening all the participants towards the AI era. Thank you all the participants for your enthusiastic involvement and making the session so truly meaningful. I look forward to the lessons we have learned today, and we'll definitely apply them in our fields in order to innovate and inspire. Thank you, everyone.